Hello viewers, welcome to the channel and to another video. In this video you will see how to create a 3D model like this, a simple and basic Y-type trip connector using just 4 steps in the PartDesign workbench, the main 3D modeling workbench of FreeCAD. You will also learn what not to do to avoid problems when adding holes to a 3D model like this in FreeCAD. I hope you like this video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and also don't forget to hit like if this video is useful. First of all, I will create a new document pressing empty file. I will create a PartDesign body object pressing this icon, and now that I have this body object created on the tree view, I will start modeling the 3D model, creating a sketch on the YZ plane. On that sketch, I will create a geometry to represent part of this section here. So now I go to my document and I click on the create sketch icon to create a sketch, and now I select YZ plane. And in this sketch here, the first thing that I'll do is to select the polyline tool in the sketch geometries of sketch workbench, this tool here, and start creating the geometry. I will start here on the origin axis and create a horizontal line like this, and next a vertical line, and now a horizontal line, and a vertical line, horizontal, and now a line like this, and next a vertical line, horizontal, and this line here, and next I will create a vertical line again, and now this horizontal, now this line, and now a vertical line and horizontal line here on the vertical axis. And now I will close this geometry here on the origin axis. As you can see, this is a closed geometry. This means that I will not have problems with the revolution tool because this sketch is closed. Okay, now I escape this tool, and what I'll do next is to set constraints for this geometry. I will start setting some points of this geometry vertical constrained. So I start my selection, selecting this point, now this point, and this point, and this point. And now I will apply a vertical constraint to these points. To do that, I go to sketch constraints and I click on this arrow and I find these three options. I selected this one here, constraint vertical, and I have this. Next, I select the dimension tool and start setting the dimensions of this geometry. I will start from this line here. I click on this line and I click off again, and I set 25 millimeters for this line and a height of 50 millimeters to this line here. And now I zoom in here and I selected this line and this vertical axis, and I will set an angle of 30 degrees. And the same thing for this line and the vertical axis, 30 degrees, and the same thing here. Okay, now I will hide these all constraints here, pressing this icon. As you can see, I have 8 degrees of freedom, and I will try to full constrain this sketch starting from this line here. I will set the length for 5 millimeters, and this line here the same distance, 5. And this line here I will set 15 millimeters. And now I zoom in here and select this line here. I will set a length of 12 millimeters for this line. 4 degrees of freedom now. I press 2 times in this icon to hide all constraints again. I will set the length of this line here to 15 millimeters. And now I will set the placement of these 3 points here, this point, and this point here. I start selecting this point, and now I click on the vertical axis and I set a distance of 19 millimeters. This will be the radius of this geometry here. And now this point and the vertical axis, and I set 21 millimeters. I zoom in here, I click on this point, and now on this vertical axis, and I set 23 millimeters. And I have this sketch full constrained, as you can see. 2 times to hide all constraints, and this hole here will be the last thing that I will create. You will understand why in a moment. Now I go to my document and close this sketch, and now I press home on the keyboard. And now to create a solid or a shape using this sketch here, I will select the revolution tool. So I select the sketch and now the revolution tool, and as you can see, I have this. It's okay. I am revolving the sketch on the z-axis 306 degrees. So I press OK to finish this. The next thing that we'll do is to create a polar array of this part here. As you can see in this 3D model, we have 3 occurrences of this part here. Okay, so I go to my document, and to create a polar pattern, first I have to select the revolution and then click on the polar pattern tool. Now what I have to do is to change the number of occurrences to 3. I go to axis and I change here to y-axis, and then I click off and I have this result. Now I press OK. And the next thing that I'll do is to create a hole on this part here. And to do that, I'll be using a subtractive cylinder. It's a primitive shape, and I will use it to remove material on this part here. So first of all, I will add transparency to this part here. So this way you will see what happens inside this part here. So I select, for example, this face here, and I press VT to add transparency to this object. Or you can go to the tree view, select this less operation, right click, and you'll find this option, toggle transparency, or use this keyboard shortcut here, VT. Okay, now I go to subtractive tools of PartDesign, these all tools here. I click on this arrow and I select subtractive cylinder. I will use this tool to remove material on this part, as I said. I change to the front view, and the first thing that I have to do here is to set a plane for the cylinder. I will attach the cylinder in the XY plane. As you can see in this way, in this view, I can set easily the XY plane. So to do that, I can go to the model tab. In this body here, I click in this arrow to expand these all objects here, and I select XY plane. If I select XY plane here, what will change will be the attachment here on this field. So I go to the model and I select XY plane, and now I go back to tasks, and as you can see, I have the cylinder attached in the region XY plane. Now I'm going to change the radius here to 12 millimeters is the radius of the hole, and the height of this I will set 120 millimeters. Yes, like this. And now I press OK. And as you can see, now I have this hole. Now what I will do is to create a polar array of this hole. So this way I will get this result here. 3 holes. So I go to the document and I select the cylinder, and now I select polar pattern tool. I go to number of occurrence and I change to 3, and I click off, and as you can see, nothing happens here. Okay, this happens because the axis of this operation is not correct. We have to set y-axis. So I go to the task panel, I go to axis and I select y-axis, and now I click off. As you can see, I have these holes. Now I press OK here, and this is the final model. And this is how you should proceed to draw this 3D model. You should leave the hole for last. If you had created a geometry for the hole directly in the sketch, you wouldn't be able to achieve this result here that I have on this document because of how the 3D model is laid out. I'm sure you get the idea. So now I will show you an example. I will change to the front view, so this way you will see clearly what happens here. Now I go to the tree view and I will delete this less operation here, this polar pattern. I select this and I delete, and now what I will do is to place this cylinder operation after this revolution, and then I will add this cylinder operation in this polar pattern operation. So I select the cylinder, right click, and now I will use this tool here to move this operation. I click here, and now I will choose to place this cylinder after the revolution operation. And now I press OK, and as you can see, I have this. Now if I make the polar pattern visible, as you can see, I have the hole only here, and also this small problem here. Now I will add the cylinder operation in this polar pattern operation. To do that, I double click on this operation, I click on the add feature, I go to the model tab and I select the cylinder, and I go to tasks, and as you can see, I have this, and this is wrong, it's not correct. Even if I change to transform body, it's the same thing. We have a different problem, but it's the same, it's a problem. Okay, so I will cancel this and undo these all operations to here. So this is how we can create a 3D model like this. I use it only for operations to create this model. If you find this video useful, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and also share this video with your friends. If you want to support the content of this channel, you can do that. Just go to the description of this video and you'll find a link to the channel's Ko-Fi page. Or you can support the channel buying the books that's appearing on the screen now. The drawing page of this 3D model you can find on this book here, 200 3D exercise, in the page 82. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.